Very good morning to Ro, Yahaya, and fellow friends here. My name is Du Huixing with matrix number 272055. Now, I will present about the psychological issues that are psychological and the explanation for this psychological problem that are faced by older friends in this movie. The psychological issue that are faced by older is the mental health illness. This is a psychological problem that will effort a person to do the tragic and something that they never do before. For example, others always laugh and cry without control due to his brain injury when the childhood. Moreover, he also faces the clinical depression, which is a psychology problem about the medical condition, which is will cause a neurobiological to associate with some symptoms. For example, although it's never to respond well in the first line treatments, often have chronic hopelessness. Then, the type of psychological that are disordered by older friend in this movie is pseudobubble effect, which is a medical condition that will cause a person will do uncontrollable bursts of laughing. For example, authors live in a neurological condition that are described by this movie as spontaneous. Therefore, the another type of psychological disorder by author in this movie is a post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a psychological disorder that may cause a traumatic event, such as who have treatment with serious injury. For example, author has experienced in a significant violent assault is caused by traumatic brain injury when he is child. About the treatment that will help older friends to decrease the psychological depression is the medication, which is a way they can help in the management of symptoms. For example, authors always find Penny Watson in the medication to help him to decrease the psychological depression in his life. At the same time, the psychotherapy, which is a treatment of mental illness provided by a trained mental health professional that will cause the explosive feeling to improve the well-being in the individual, also can help him to solve his problem. For example, although mother always help him to discover ways to cope with life challenges and will learn to manage his relationship in the healthy ways. In conclusion, there are many treatment and the psychological issues that are faced by older friends in this movie. Thank you so much.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Emilia Ainatasha, and so I will present to you about the question B, which is how would the life be when living with this psychological disorder, which is, as we know, they must be frustrating in their life because they can't express their feeling and their reeling emotion, and also their life when living with this psychological must be hard to socialize with people, and then people with this psychological will hardly notice other thoughts and that their life will turn upside down, and his or her also which have the psychological disorder also think that everybody was awful to them and people always make fun of them. So secondly, what are the impact of the psychological disorder have on oneself as well as to the others or people in his or her life, which is, as we know, the impact of the psychological disorder, they always having a risk of tend to hurt others without any concern, which is they will hurt the people surrounding them, and they will choose violence as a symbol of their expression or any emotion. Plus, people or patient with the psychological disorder always have any feels of humiliation and distrustful, and also their communication ability with other people are mainly bad and cause others to be worried and feeling distracted by them. So next, state what are the factors that cause the character in this movie to live with the psychological disorder. So as we take an example from the movie scene where the actor face worked as a clown and he always beaten up by a random young guy. So here we can see that he always involved in a violent situation. Plus, the factors that cause Artifact to live with this illness was his childhood trauma. As he growing up, he was physical abused by people surrounding him, and his adopted mother made a house of terror and full of tragedy for her son. And also, other fact also thinks that society like him are useless and neglected.
I'm Nur Kamalewinta Sohaini. Metric number 27260 represent the theory in psychology. Pathological laughter. In his portrayal, Pionis delivers a unique biological basis for the Joker's managed laughter. Arthur lived with a neurological condition that is described in the film as spontaneous, socially inappropriate laughter. The condition called involuntary emotional expression disorder (IED), also known as pseudobulbar effect, is indeed a real neurological disease characterized by emotional lability and pathological laughing. Second theory is mental hate and violence. Incident of senseless, unforgivable act of atrocities by lone gunmen have become a part of our cultural and psychological landscape. The film Joker has raised the reasonable concern about how entertainment media influence our current climate as is related to unpredictable violence. There are four facts may help us appreciate the complexity. There is not a single psychiatric diagnosis that maps into killer. Second, mental health disorders are brain-related conditions that are quite common. Third, people with mental health problems are more likely to be the victim of violent crime than perpetrators. Having a psychiatric diagnosis is neither necessary nor sufficient as a risk factor for committing an act of mass violence. The third one is the misunderstood loner. Arthur Fleck is the middle-aged man who works as a party clown in the crime-riddled city of Gotham. Arthur is significantly underweight, his face sunken and pallid, and although he is not repulsive, his untidy, weird experience is off-putting to others. Behaviorally, Arthur is odd. He is withdrawn and antisocial. In fact, Arthur is somewhat innocent and innately well-meaning toward others, especially children.
My name is Liu Shanxing and my matrix number is 272074. For the three types of personality that can be portrayed in the characters of this movie, we want to talk about two characters. The first one is Arthur Fleck and the second is Randall. For Arthur, there are two personalities. The first one is neuroticism's personality. This can be seen when Arthur fails to hold his emotion, and he kills three men that taunt him about his laughing condition and beat him out on the train. Next, his chain of emotion can be observing when he was exciting sneak into the theater and confront Thomas in the bathroom because he believed her mother's letter that said Thomas is his father. After Thomas denied it and told him about the background of his mother, Arthur became extremely upset and began laughing in hysterics. The second personality of Arthur's is extraversion. In this movie, Arthur talks to his therapist. I am not sure if I really exist, but now I do. People start to notice me. After he kills three men on the train, he going to talk shows and use the name Jokers and kills another man called Murray Franklin and asks people to remember about it. This shows that Arthur Fleck is extraversion and like to get attention from the people. For the second character, which is Randall, Randall is a low agreeableness people. In the movie, Randall gave Arthur a 38 revolver to protecting himself from future attacks, but the other day when Arthur accidentally dropped a 38 revolver at a children's hospital when doing clown act for children, Randall take a real action where Randall lied to their boss and say that Arthur won the gun from him, and this caused Arthur to lose his job. From this, I can show that Randall are low agreeableness people.
Now, I will explain about the type of learning that related to the Joker movie. And my name is Sumejian's, my matrix number is 271994. The type of learning that related to the Joker movie is cognitive learning. Cognitive learning is a learning method that focuses on using the brain more effectively. Cognitive learning theory integrates cognitions and learning to effectively explain the different processes involved in learning. Cognitive learning is an immersive and active process that engages your senses in a constructive. And the observation learning is one of the types in cognitive learning, and is showing in this movie when a person learning new behavior by observing other people's behavior. The first example is Kiki was repeating her mother's sentences, which is commented about the building is terrible by asking her mother through imitations. The next example is Arthur learns job in Pogo Community Club by summarizes and recorded always these things and sexist jokes are always funny in his notebook during the sharing process. In addition, author was imitating Murray Franklin's appearance similarly at home to better entering the show.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fatin Nabila Shuhada and my metric number is 272159. So I would like to explain motivation theory. Motivation can be divided into two different theories that are intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is the factor that push a person to do some action which are come from inside of their heart. It refers to an internal factor that makes people do something by their heart. As an example, from the Joker film, Arthur is particularly interested in getting better. He seeks ways to integrate into society within normalizing and healthy channel. For instance, he utilizes his therapy session for self-examination. He also does his homework and takes his medication regularly. When he considers his medication is not working, he asks for greater dose. Arthur also makes concerted efforts to attend his job regularly, despite the difficulty involved. Arthur is both prepared to acknowledge that he wants help and that he is exhausted from asking for help. And second motivation is extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation is the factor that push a person to do some action which come from their outside mind. It refers to an external factor that makes people do something not because of their mind telling them. It is because it's more about status, public recognition, and financial incentive. When people are extrinsically motivated, they do something to gain a reward. As an example from this film, Arthur got a call from Shirley Woods, who is working at the Murray Franklin show. She requests Arthur to attend Murray's show as a guest because Murray played a clip of Arthur's stand-up show gets a fascinating response from their viewer. So Shirley told Arthur that Murray loved to talk and hope that they may have some ad of him in the show. To prepare for the show, Arthur studied how Athens chased entrance on the Murray Franklin show when propaganda a new movie called American Playboy. That's all from me. Thank you.